Ryder has one of the best weeks in WWE. Zack Ryder has one of the best weeks ever in WWE. TNA presents the most unique wrestling match ever. Finn Balor and Nakamura are set for an epic match, and news on everything else going on in the world of professional wrestling, including the WWE Draft. We've got DWHS, hot news, Time of the Ring, and so much more. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the longest running wrestling talk show in the world today. Right here, right now on My24 Milwaukee and Fight TV.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, PrimeTime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, Prime Time Saturday night for Saturday, July 9, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout, straight-edge, hardcore Hall of Famer hero. And David, it's fight night.
It is
here tonight on Saturday night.
It's a huge fight night. It's been fight night the last couple days.
How's it fight? So it'd be fight days.
Well, we were on Feedback Friday on the fight.
I'm referring to Brock's big battle tonight against Mark Hunt.
Yeah, it's going to be on shortly. He's in the main event.
He's in the main event.
Yes.
He is a main eventer in both UFC and WWE, and you hate it.
No, I don't hate it.
You hate it. You said so yesterday on Feedback Friday.
I just don't like the fact that he's risking his WWE career in a UFC fight.
Well, we will talk more about that actually right now in this week's big story, because this week's big story is brought to you by Gruber Law Offices, who is ready to represent you in your personal injury case and get you all the compensation you deserve. All you have to do is call 414-276-6666 for your free.
That's a lot of sixes.
Free consultation right now. Tonight, Brock Lesnar competes at UFC 200 against Mark Hunt. And while that event is happening tonight, we don't yet know the winner. We did find out on this past week's SmackDown that Brock Lesnar will be taking on...
Whoa, we're going to give it away this quick?
It happened yesterday.
Make them watch the entire show to tell them who's going to...
They found out yesterday on SmackDown.
Oh, forget it.
We'll take on the returning Viper, Randy Orton, at SummerSlam on August 21st. In Brooklyn. Now, Orton and Lesnar have fought in the past, but they have never had, at least that I can recall, a marquee match in the company.
But that's when it was Randy Orton, not the Viper, not the vicious Viper, not the guy that would punt people in the heads. I've been wanting this match for a while. I wanted to see Randy Orton, the Viper, against the Beast Brock Lesnar. I think it's going to be a fight. I think it's the two young studs. It's the two youngest WWE World Champions.
That's an interesting point right there, because it was at SummerSlam 2002, I believe it was, that Brock Lesnar became the youngest WWE champion in history. Mm-hmm. And then after Brock Lesnar left in 2004, I believe at SummerSlam 2004, Randy Orton became the youngest WWE champion in history.
And that was to make sure Brock was wiped off as the youngest.
Absolutely. But here's a question, and regardless of the outcome of UFC's Lesnar's UFC match, this seems like a great launching pad for the return of Orton. But I'm not sure I see Orton as a fighter against a Brock Lesnar who is a fighter. You know what I mean? Cena was easy to understand. But I don't know. There's some disconnect between Randy Orton being that guy.
They are going to have the RKO as could be the Achilles heel of Brock, because it can be out of nowhere.
Ah, there you go.
Okay, and here's the beauty of it. If you want to jumpstart Randy Orton coming back,
which
you have him in the match with Lesnar. Here's why. If Lesnar loses, I'm going to guarantee Randy Orton beats Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Really? If he loses tonight at UFC 200, you are guaranteeing that Randy Orton will beat Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Absolutely.
Okay, please tell.
Because Randy Orton has been a WWE guy from day one. Mm-hmm. Okay? For some reason, Vince has kept him around longer than anybody else, when he should have fired him multiple times.
Oh, he keeps getting close.
Right, okay? So if Brock Lesnar loses, they're not going to have him in a match with a Bray Wyatt or a Baron Corbin or a Kevin Owens, someone that's new to the roster to beat Brock Lesnar. You're going to go to one of the hometown guys, one of the guys that has been there the longest, one of the iconic guy. You know, it's Randy Orton and John Cena. And I've said that if John Cena is Hulk Hogan, Randy Orton is the Macho Man of this generation. he's the only guy that can beat Brock Lesnar. If Brock Lesnar loses to Mark Hunt.
If he wins tonight, Brock Lesnar, then what happens in the SummerSlam match with Randy Orton?
Then I would like to believe that Brock does beat him, because you have to capitalize on Brock as being a complete, ultimate fight machine.
So if he loses tonight, wouldn't they want to prove his worth by having him beat Randy Orton at SummerSlam?
No, because he will. No, not at all. Now you gotta. Okay, Brock, you let us down. Now we're gonna put all the heat on somebody else that needs it more than you do right now. If he loses, he's gonna be punished, and he'll lose to Randy Orton at SummerSlam.
Can they really punish Brock Lesnar?
Of course they can. You think Brock Lesnar has not lost a traditional wrestling match since being in the WWE?
Yes, he has.
Traditional wrestling match.
Okay, street fights, blah, blah, blah.
Those don't
Hell in
count.
Cells.
Gimmick matches don't count.
So maybe this will be a gimmick match. Can they make it a gimmick match at SummerSlam?
No,
Why not?
no.
Brock's upset. Brock comes back. Let's say he loses tonight. Brock, as he comes back, goes on another rage, another tirade, just destroys everybody, starts throwing audio guys into the fourth row. Do they want to then contain the beast and maybe put it in a cage, maybe put it in Hell in a Cell?
No, not at all. And it's going to be interesting to see the promo. If Brock loses, there's a lot of ifs in this entire equation.
Yeah.
If Brock loses, what kind of promos will Paul Heyman cut? Do they acknowledge the loss?
They didn't acknowledge the fight. Aside from sending out a couple of tweets on the day of.
It's going to be interesting.
The day before.
It's going to be interesting. I'm telling you. Of course, it's just my opinion.
There's your out. You're trying to find a way out.
No. I mean, I'll DWHS it if you want me to, that if Brock Lesnar loses tonight, Randy Orton beats him at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you reward a guy that embarrasses the company?
But it's happening outside their universe, and the fact that he's merely the mere fact that he's on,
but the fact that everything.
Yes, it will be, and it's going to be providing great publicity for SummerSlam.
It will be WWE star loses to Mark Hunt.
It will be yes. Yeah. Who performed in the UFC on what will be their biggest show ever.
I just can't believe how stubborn you are on this whole.
I'm not stubborn. You're looking at the win or the loss, which you have said don't even matter. And I'm looking at the pure marquee value of a WWE star going over and working the main event of a UFC show. It's unheard of. Whether he wins or loses matters, but doesn't matter as much as WWE is going to get out of it and what they can do with a win or loss in WWE with a beast Brock Lesnar. And what Paul Heyman can say, I think there's a win-win scenario here whether he wins or loses.
If Brock Lesnar loses tonight, they can't even say he pulled the tights. They can't see the monitor.
He loses, he lost.
He lost,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
There's no, and if he gets knocked out, oh God, brutal. If Lesnar loses, it better be by decision.
Yeah, I will agree. He cannot get knocked out.
He cannot get knocked out. He cannot tap.
Yeah.
It kills him.
Yeah. Well, no matter what, folks, this is indeed going to be Lesnar versus Orton is going to be the money match at SummerSlam at the Barclays Center in August.
There's still so much more to come here on Primetime. When will Finn Balor take on Nakamura? What did we think of Final Deletion? Why is Zack Ryder the biggest story of the week in WWE? Find out the answers to these questions and many more when Primetime returns here on My24 Milwaukee and Fight TV.
Claim your cash for the Robert Hack Diamonds $250,000 gold buying event going on now. We're paying top dollar for your gold. Bring in your gold rings, gold chains, gold bracelets, and claim your cash. Bring in your diamond rings, diamond pendants, loose diamonds, and claim your cash. Bring in your state jewelry, your antique jewelry, and heritage jewelry, and claim your cash. It's fast and easy. If we can't beat a competitor's offer on your scrap gold, we'll give you $20 just for trying.
Robert Hack Diamonds.
Fingers looking good.
Welcome back, fans, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero here on July 9, 2016. Let's go right to this week's WWE Report, which is brought to you by Fight TV. Fight TV, which features wrestling, MMA, boxing, and of course the Pro Wrestling Report and Ring of Honor Wrestling as well. You can download the app for free right now in the Google Play and iTunes stores and start exploring all of the content available at your fingertips. And you know, with the Fight TV app, that's F-I-T-E, you play it on the phone, on the app, or the device, or you can stream it right to your Wi-Fi television with no cables, no cords.
Do you know who loves the Fight TV app?
Who that?
Our good friend Phil Fiore. Loves it.
It's a great app to have. Both Raw and SmackDown were rather uneventful shows this week, but just like last week, there were some telling things that came out of each one, David. For me, of course, I was thrilled to see Vicky Guerrero back on WWE television, having enjoyed, and I have enjoyed seeing the former GMs come back to lobby to be the GM of the new brands. Now, I still want to see Bischoff and Angle, but time will tell if that happens.
You know what's funny? They all got fired, right? And they all think they should come back and get their jobs. It's like being a. I
don't think Teddy Long got fired.
It's like being a professional sports coach. Oh, Vicky got fired.
Did she?
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like they keep recycling. I don't get it.
Well, they're the old. It's showing the splendor that
Vicky
was.
Old? You don't talk about age with women.
She's aged. I mean, time has passed, right? So she has aged. Time has passed,
dude,
so she has aged. That's a factual statement.
H-E double crooked letter pretty soon.
I thought Vicky was very good this past Monday on Raw. Very short, though, in that segment.
Now you're making fun of her height?
On what was a weird... She was behind the podium. I couldn't tell how tall she was. But even with that, clearly the biggest story of the week from both shows was Zack Ryder. On Monday, Zack Ryder got the win for Team USA, pinning Sheamus. And then he went on to pin Sheamus again, clean, on SmackDown.
What happened to Sheamus?
It's a surprise to say the least. Maybe he's too distracted by Apollo Crews.
Or by the Ninja Turtles. I mean, Rocksteady, I think, has killed his career.
Now, if you go back to WrestleMania, let's not forget that Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental Championship on the grandest stage of them all. But what does this renewed interest in Ryder by the company show, especially going into the draft?
I think it's rewarding him for working with Mojo Rawley in NXT. He's actually helped him improve. He's gotten him over.
We'll talk about that later, by the way.
Well, what can I talk about now?
No, you can talk about what you're talking about now, because we'll talk about something on NXT that I don't think you're completely aware of.
No, probably not.
That is relevant to this story.
And they need to build up the lower mid-card to more relevant stars, because this draft is going to show how truly thin the entire WWE roster really is. So you draft a Zack Ryder in your top 15, you're like, who has he ever beat? But now he's gotten big victories. Now he means something again.
You just said it will show how thin the entire WWE roster really is.
Yes.
Do you firmly believe that across
absolutely
WWE, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT? You believe the roster is still thin?
Yes.
Thin in what way? Thin from star power?
Star power. There aren't enough upper card guys.
So who do you have now? You named the four last week, I believe it was. AJ Styles, John Cena, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns,
and Dean Ambrose.
So there are five.
Dude,
Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton.
Right there. That proves my point.
What proves what point?
You
forgot
said four.
About the I didn't forget you said four. Now you added five. You changed your story. You flipped-flopped.
But I would have had the world champ in my top four.
I don't think you did.
I think.
Remember the draft? You tend to forget about Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, because he's not one of my guys.
So I think that there is...
After that, then what do you got?
I think you have a lot more potential. I think you have a lot more people who could easily be met with...
But they're not there yet, and that's how it's going to show how thin the roster is.
But you have a lot of people who were there. You talk about a Sheamus. Randy Orton's coming back.
Sheamus
Brock Lesnar's coming back.
is now doing clean jobs to Zack Ryder.
He did twice this week.
Okay.
Yes. Well, once this week.
And
the first one was shenanigans.
Big Show and Zack Ryder, our Team USA...
Let's be real. There were 4 other people, or 6 other people on that team, too. Let's be real, though. This past Monday's Raw was a throwaway show.
Of course it was, because people weren't watching Raw. That's why they had the food fight. Do you like that?
I like the way they did it this time by making fun of the food fights and then having a food fight.
They should have had like banana splits in the food fight.
Banana splits in the food fight. Yeah,
that's all American. Because you got the red, white, and blue and the banana in the middle. And
folks, that's this week's WWE Report.
Coming up next on Primetime, this week's hot news, Diamond of the Ring, and discussion on the final deletion from Impact Wrestling. All that and more when Primetime returns here on My 24 Milwaukee and Fight TV.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason. Because it means love and devotion for one's country. Love. But what really makes up this country of ours? What is it we love? It's the people. Almost half the country belongs to minority groups. People who are lesbian, African American, and bi and transgender and Native American, and proud of it. After all, what's more American than freedom to celebrate the things that make us, us? This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, disability, sexuality, race, religion, and any other labels. Because the second any of us judge people based on those labels, we're not really being patriotic, are we? Because love has no labels.
Welcome back, fans, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday night. This show's moving rapidly, David Hero.
You know what? It's crazy because, like, for the last week, I've been stuck in nothing but traffic jams.
Is that right?
Yes. Well, you know, to and from Six Flags for the great shows we had down there. People at Six Flags were tremendous, but lots of traffic jams. But yeah, this is just like a 5-lane expressway right now. We're just flowing along.
Well, let's flow right into hot news, which is brought to you by PWRshow.com, where you can check out all of our episodes on demand, including Feedback Friday and this very show, Primetime, and the Double D podcast, David Hero, our podcast looking at life outside of wrestling, which was presented
It's crazy
last Thursday.
the views you have on life.
How are they crazy? They're my views.
That's what I mean.
I'm a realist, David Hero. I look at things in black and white. But I really don't.
Why is it about race?
No, the color's black and white.
Oh.
I don't know of a race that's either black or white. I know Caucasians and African Americans.
What?
Jerry Lawler returned to WWE SmackDown this week after the charges against him were dropped in his domestic violence case, which resulted in his suspension from the company. Immediately following the announcement of the charges being dropped, WWE reinstated the Hall of Famer.
You know
It's
what?
good to hear him back on SmackDown.
You know what? And like I said, we haven't talked about it much, but Jerry is a friend.
Yeah.
And I've been around Jerry a lot over the years. I've never seen that side of him, so when I heard it, it was weird. He's never had a drink.
Right.
As far as I know.
Just a Coke.
And yeah. And,
Coca-Cola Classic.
And the thing is when I heard that she was drunk,
it all made sense, right?
It all made sense.
Mm-hmm. Not that it made sense that he had hit her, because he never did.
Right.
But the situation made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, the endorsed former WWE star Cody Rhodes has signed on to guest star on the CW show Arrow with Stephen Amell.
Which you can see on Super 18 here in Milwaukee.
Our sister station,
yes,
right?
Yes.
You looking forward to this? I know you're a fan of Arrow. He's going to appear in the 5th season of the show.
I cannot wait. I think Cody will be absolutely freaking tremendous.
Well, if you don't remember, Rhodes and Amell competed against each other at last year's SummerSlam. Now, also, Cody Rhodes was the very first guest on the all-new Ric Flair Show podcast earlier this week, which can be heard on the MLW Radio Network, which is also where Jimmy Cornette's Experience is. And it was very interesting to hear Cody give his perspective on why he's doing this Arrow thing and how his life has been since leaving WWE.
I honestly believe that's why Cody left. He had an opportunity to do Arrow, to expand his horizons, and I'm sure Vince and company said, no, you can't do it.
Well, you know what I didn't know? He spent 10 months in Los Angeles trying to be an actor before coming into OVW and WWE.
Told you that. We've had that you don't listen to anything that I tell you.
Why? It's all pointless drivel.
That was not.
I don't remember what you said now.
You could have shared that like 4 years ago.
Maybe I did.
You probably didn't.
In ratings news this week, WWE did not fare well with the holiday edition of Raw. Raw scored its 3rd lowest rating in the history of the show, folks. Viewership was down 450,000 with 2.65 million viewers. Now, it's important to note it was still the #1 show on cable amongst males ages 18. I'm sorry, the entire 18 to 49 demographic. Over on Impact Wrestling, though, David Hero, for the final deletion, which was much hyped. We'll talk about that in just a moment. As a matter of fact, next. 410,000 people tuned in, up 27% from the 332,000 from the previous week.
Because it's the final freaking deletion.
That's this week's hot news, and let's now go to this week's TNA Impact Wrestling Report. And this past Tuesday on Impact, TNA presented the 3rd in a series of matches between Jeff and Matt Hardy, and this time it was billed as a final deletion match.
It was awesome.
There was much talk and praise for this match on social media even before it happened, so I was very pleased to see the chatter about TNA and, more importantly, some positive chatter about the company and their in-ring product. Then came Tuesday. The hype made me watch, which is good. And watch the show overall, which is good. First, there was that amazing Ultimate X Division matchup where Eddie Edwards became the new X Division champion, defeating several people but taking the title away from Mike Bennett. We do want to send our best wishes and thoughts and prayers out to the endorsed rock star Spud, who suffered a debilitating injury in that matchup.
He got his teeth kicked down his throat.
That he did. Now,
did you send him flowers?
No, a card, an e-card.
What was in the e-card?
It's between him and I don't. What do you want to know? Did you send him flowers?
No, I don't send guys flowers.
Did you send him an e-card?
No.
Did you tweet him? Did you reach out? How dare you? You are on this respected show, and you don't even reach out to an injured talent.
I did. I asked him if he needed new dental floss or like the whitening stuff when he gets his teeth fixed.
I appreciated the creativity of the final deletion match, and I certainly have not seen anything like it before, but it didn't blow me away like it seemingly did everybody else. Now, I was entertained, and at the end of the day, that's about all that mattered. So I guess in that regard, it's a win. I do give credit to TNA, though. They took a chance.
It was extremely creative.
Amazingly creative, yes.
Okay.
It was.
Senor Jose was
that was
a huge
funny,
star.
the gardener. And he's okay, by the way.
Yeah, thank God. But, I mean, it was like Michael Bay directing Backyard Wrestling. It was like watching Transformers.
Bumblebee?
It's like watching Transformers being produced at a public access channel. You know, there's just so much chaos and shenanigans and different camera shots.
I didn't think they'd spend so much time outside the ring.
Maxwell is a star. Maxwell Hardy is a star. And my big thing is when Maxwell is old enough to realize that his birthday candle is what beat his Uncle Jeff. That was the finish.
I laugh because it sounds ridiculous.
Candle beat Jeff Hardy.
Does it? Did you feel? Okay. Firstly, all the credit in the world to Matt, Jeff Hardy, TNA Creative, TNA the company, TNA Production. It was something incredibly different and something very eye-catching and engaging, and I commend them for that. What does it do though? Where do we go?
It created buzz. You know what it was?
It did.
It got TNA talents, Ring of Honor talents, WWE talents tweeting about the final deletion.
And it brought them to Impact on Tuesday, which at a critical time, they may be moving to Thursdays.
Let's not forget, we also got to see the director's cut, which was even better.
Yeah.
The dilapidated boat. They shoot fireworks at each other.
They were shooting fireworks at each other.
How dangerous is that?
Well, not really. It's the code burning stuff.
Have you ever shot fireworks at somebody?
No, that probably is against the law.
Yeah, well...
Outside of wrestling, right?
They had drones.
They had drones.
Okay, they had, like, you know, the front yard sculpted. I felt bad for Maxwell. Nobody's at his party except his parents.
Here's the great thing, though. Next week, Destination X on Pop TV for Tuesday night on Impact. So the audience that they captured, which was one of their top 5 most viewed shows since debuting on Pop in January, hopefully they keep them.
Were you surprised that Matt Hardy won?
No. I don't think it mattered at that point who won, because it was just a spectacle.
It was the best, worst thing I ever saw.
There it is, like Dr. Detroit, the movie. You still haven't seen that, right?
No.
Best, worst movie I've ever seen.
It was so good.
Howard the Duck, one of the best, worst movies I've ever seen.
But good for Matt and Jeff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else could get that kind of creative control?
Nobody. And do so well with it. That's the key, is do so well with it.
It was very well thought out. It was like watching Sharknado.
Never seen that.
And you make fun of me for not seeing Dr. Detroit?
Yeah, I absolutely do. Dr. Detroit's an iconic movie.
So is Sharknado.
80s. That's the gimmick from the 2000s. Speaking of gimmicks, how about this week's Diamond of the Ring?
Oh, this week's Diamond of the Ring? Well, there's a couple, actually. What was so funny? There was a real Robert Hack Diamond of the Ring. It was what Al Snow put on Jessica's finger at Six Flags over the weekend.
Nice.
Yes,
well done.
But this week's Diamond of the Ring has to go to the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, for putting on the spectacle of Final Deletion. Because at first I wasn't excited about the match until I saw the trailer for it. And then I'm like,
Which is funny in and of itself, in a great way.
How can I miss this?
Right. You can't not.
You can't not. I can't not ever. So this week's Robert Hack Diamonds of the Ring goes to Al Snow and Jessica on their engagement, and the Hardy Boys for Final Deletion.
Great selection, David Hero. I thought there'd be yet another Diamond of the Ring, because you do know it is indeed the summer of Cal.
Primetime continues in just a few moments with this week's NXT Report, the Event Center, and DHHS.
The Soder family thought they'd take a road trip this summer. A little fun, a little sun. What could possibly go wrong? Even under the best driving conditions, semi-trucks can still be dangerous. The results of being in a wreck with 40 tons of steel and speed can be catastrophic. And it only gets worse when you don't have Gruber Law Offices on your side. If you or a loved one has been injured by a semi-truck, call Gruber Law Offices now. One call, that's all.
Hi, everybody. This is good old JR Jim Ross, WWE Hall of Famer, and you're watching Damon Nelson and David Hero on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Welcome back, folks, to the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night, the final leg of our journey, and let's go into the NXT report for this week, where we saw Rhino return, attacking the Hype Brothers and Wesley Blake. Now, the Hype Brothers include Zack Ryder, so he gets 2 wins on Sheamus this week, and then gets destroyed by Rhino on NXT on Wednesday.
Rhino is the man beast.
Does it derail Zack Ryder's momentum?
No, because it happened on the network.
Also on NXT this week, we saw a tremendous promo hyping a quote-unquote dream match between Balor and Nakamura, which is going to take place on next week's NXT, but it seems to me that that is something they should be building towards for the NXT shows in Brooklyn as part of SummerSlam weekend.
Maybe Nakamura defeats Finn Balor, but then Nakamura has to face the demon.
Okay,
You know
yes,
what I mean?
they have been saying Balor. Not much reference to the demon, yeah.
Yeah,
you've okay.
See, just pay attention.
Well, it should be a great match indeed, regardless. Those two are going to absolutely tear it up. But are you looking forward to it, David Hero?
Absolutely. I like watching Michael Jackson wrestle. He's highly entertaining.
He is. He's got a bit of Pillman-ish craziness to him, doesn't he?
Did you see how Kevin Owens beat him up at a house show over the weekend?
I did not see that, no.
Ran to the ring, put the boots to him, and did his own, his entrance. It was pretty funny.
We also found out that Samoa Joe returns to NXT television next week. Not sure who is in his sights.
You got to believe Eric Young's got to be coming back soon.
And Bobby Roode, which we still haven't seen much of, except for at some house show events.
Did you see that with him and No Way Jose, the whole dance thing they did?
Yes.
How great was that?
It's fantastic.
Highly entertaining, good for Bobby Roode, shows a different comical side to being a great heel.
Let's go to this week's Event Center.
Welcome to the PWR Event Center, brought to you by Casablanca on Brady, bringing you the finest in Middle Eastern cuisine.
Head on down to Casablanca for some great food and some tremendous hookah.
Big Time Wrestling debuts in the Brew City at Turner Hall on Friday, August 19th, with 2016 WWE Hall of Famer inductee Sting. Also, Damian Sandow, Lex Luger, Billy Gunn, Rhino, Angelina Love, and many more. You can also meet Sting and all the stars at the show from 6 to 8 p.m. Bell time will be at 8 p.m. for Big Time Wrestling's first event in Milwaukee.
That's it for this week's Event Center, brought to you by Casablanca on Brady.
Thank you, ladies. David?
We've talked a lot about how Impact Wrestling's numbers went up this week.
Is this DWHS?
This is DWHS.
Up 27%, 410,000 viewers.
You know what? As much as we knock the company, the talents...
We? You?
Bro, you started this whole thing a few months ago.
Over the internet.
But the talents themselves have taken upon themselves to help promote the shows. If you watched on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they're all tweeting about the final deletion.
Yeah.
Rockstar Spud tweeting about his teeth getting kicked down his throat. They've all done their own ways on social media to make fans want to tune in to see what's going on. And like I said earlier, when you have guys like Mick Foley and Jim Ross tweeting about final deletion with their million-plus Twitter followers, they're making a buzz. These guys are doing everything they can to make sure that their company stays afloat, which is highly commendable, because if you think about it, WWE talents don't tweet about upcoming shows or what's happening during Raw and SmackDown the way TNA stars do.
You're right.
They don't.
Some WWE stars do, but it's very, very small amount.
It is. So just want to say I give lots of props and credit and accolades to everyone in TNA. You're a big part of those numbers going up. Final deletion was the biggest thing for me. It was awesome. But it was great seeing everybody across the board in all wrestling companies supporting what Matt and Jeff did. And with that, David Hero has spoken.
And with that, folks, that is this week's edition of Primetime. For that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another edition of Primetime here on My 24 Milwaukee.